So hi, welcome to the Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
Soy.
Andy.
Fox.
And we're going to ask them some questions today about their upcoming album, Through the Blue. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Ecstatic. Obviously, like, this is our first release. Big release in 2 years. And our first release through a record label. So we kind of didn't know what to expect. You know, I was hopeful that people would be like, oh my God, finally, like, new music. But I didn't really expect people to like there's someone on Twitter who like changed their username to Fox Keeps Stan account, and they're like, I'm taking off for the day you guys release the album. So I'm like, oh my God, like, it's amazing.
That's crazy.
That's great.
Oh
It's clear to me that you guys, when you put out Tight, you captivated that DIY audience because, like, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm on their management team, so I look at your Spotify for artists and shit, and like just watching the numbers go up like the day you guys put shit out is crazy to me, because like you guys disappeared for a second and then Two Emos came out and it was like 1,000 streams by like the end of the weekend, which was like crazy.
Yeah.
The album is great, by the way.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, guys.
So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover
art? Yes and no. So it's kind of funny. So I feel like every time we do any type of artwork, it either ends up being like I take a random picture and we're like, oh, this might be cool for something. But what happened with the album artwork is I had this scanner set up when I was still living at my mom's, and I was testing it, and I took stuff out of my pocket and just kind of set it on top and didn't realize I like knocked into it. Turned on, super sensitive. The thing was from like, I don't know, 2005. And it scanned my Switchblade and like a few other things. And the picture looked really cool. So I was like, all right, let me send this to myself because I might be able to like edit this into like something cool to just practice graphic design with. And then I was like, no, this would be so sick for an album cover. Let me hold on to this until we have more of a concept together. And then because this was before we had even, I think, finished writing like half the songs that are on the record. So once we kind of had everything together and I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like, I started messing around with the colors and the gradient, and that's how I kind of came up with the blue. So mind you, like, the name still was not, it didn't have a name. We were just calling it LP2. We had no name for it. The blue was just kind of like a cool color, I thought, for it. And it wasn't until we went into the studio that we were still kind of thinking of names. And like Andy could tell you, like, we had a lot of other names for this album that definitely wouldn't fit. Like, we had a lot of milk themed names.
We were gonna call the album Pasteurized. That was like a working title. That was my idea because I was working at a very popular gas station deli at the time, and on all of the cheese boxes it would of course read Pasteurized. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying to like find like another one word title. I knew it wasn't gonna make it all the way through, but sometimes you gotta ride stuff out, you know. So it was Pasteurized for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then when we decided to name it Through the Blue, I think we were in the lobby at DIM when we recorded the record with Mike from Range Life, and I was just like reading through the lyrics that Sawyer sent me and like constantly listening to the songs because we were recording, and I was like, well, Through the Blue, that's a really easy phrase to pull out of the record, and it stuck. Through the Blue.
All right, I would argue it's a little bit better than Pasteurized.
Yeah, Big Cheese would have come after us.
I think making this would have been easier if we left it that, because it would have just been like a ton of milk cartons, like, yeah, you know, it could have been so simple.
Oh, that would have been just terrible.
That would have been awesome. What are you talking about?
Like everything being a milk carton. Like,
you guys could have made a milk carton as a merch item.
Exactly.
It's like how, you know, like Pollyanna did slime and they slimed themselves. You would have had like milk splattering all over us.
That would have been so cool. Come on, next album.
Speaking of photo shoots that would directly correlate with the album and the album cover, whatever happened to the knife photo shoot where there's supposed to be knives hanging over you guys? Or did I dream about this?
You're pulling some deep lore out here.
Yeah.
that happened, and it took a lot of time to edit that too. So we did a photo shoot last March with our friend Jess, and I'm glad we didn't execute it the way I was thinking. We did a much safer route. But my idea, because we had the picture of the knife at this point, I was like, we should take a photo shoot and have some type of theme, like with knives, do something behind us. And I had the right idea to be like, oh, let's hang them from the ceiling and stand under them. Which everyone was like, absolutely not. Like, let's do anything. Oh, hello, it's my cat. Anything but that. So we did the entire photo shoot, and we ended up just like taking pictures of them while holding them in kind of like a certain angle where I was able to edit them and put it on top of us in post. But we never used it because our old bassist, Dan McCool, was in the pictures, because we had kind of assumed that the record would be out while he technically was still in the band with us. Because at the time we were still entirely independent. And I felt wrong kind of just editing him out of any pictures and anything like that. So we just kind of never used them. They did look really cool. I absolutely think like we'll end up posting them, as just like Easter eggs or fun things. Yeah, we never used them. And thankfully we never went through with standing under actual knives, because I can guarantee it probably wouldn't have ended well.
Probably not. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, other than Two Emos, what was really the first song?
I think it was probably Ghost, right?
Yeah.
It was Ghost and Mathematician, I think, were the first two demos that I started working on in 2020, I think, right after Tight came out.
Yeah, because I know we started messing around with those really early on. I think Tight had maybe only been out for like a couple of months, and we had already started writing new stuff. And most of the other songs came later in 2021. But it was a slow burn for sure with the writing process, because we were also going through like member changes and finding our sound and knowing that we were going to be working with a new producer. So there was a lot that kind of went into even just the writing itself, knowing that it was going to be changing a lot. Even with Two Emos, that song was originally supposed to be on Tight, and it looks entirely different than from it sounds entirely different than from how it sounds now. So I think most of the writing kind of stayed the same that we've always done, where I, had a guitar riff or some sort of idea of the lyrics, and I would send it over to Andy, and he would record drums, and then we figured out what the bass would be afterwards. But I feel like the big difference with all of these songs, I guess in relation to all of our old stuff, is that even though we kind of followed the same process, I think we both had the ability to kind of like think outside of the box of what we wanted things to sound like. We had ideas production-wise, what we knew we wanted in the songs, and we were able to write around that a lot. It was really cool, and like a lot of the songs, they're not too far off from things that we've written before, but there's definitely like more that's gone into the writing. Even just like, I know with the guitar, like everything on Tight, I think I doubled up the guitar and it's just chords, and like on this record now there's actually like leads, there's stuff in the background, there's a whole lot going into the layering of all the songs.
No, yeah.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that you guys have kind of evolved. That's amazing. It's awesome to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what song off this album took the longest to write, and which one is each of your own personal favorite?
Longest to write.
I think
Andy,
by
what do you
default,
think the longest?
like the longest to write was Two Emos, because it was supposed to be on Tight. So there's 3 or 4 different versions of that song floating around on Google Drive and in our emails. And like Sawyer said, it's completely different on this album compared to how it would have been on Tight. Like, we took things out, added stuff, different drum beats, different parts. I think the lyrics might even be different too. I don't know if we ever got that far during the Tight sessions. We probably cut it pretty early.
Yeah, I think they're pretty different. It's been so like I started writing that song, I think I was 17. So like,
Jeez.
Yeah,
it's gone through a lot.
Two Emos, when it came out in November 2022, it was probably like 2.5 years old by then. So That's like the oldest one. And then the hardest one to write was probably, for me, the hardest one to write was Floral, just because I didn't know what type of drum beat I wanted, and I had this like internal battle to not play anything super simple on the whole record.
Mhm.
So like I just wouldn't agree with myself on anything. So there's like these horrible like drum parts to Floral again, like floating around on Google Drive. And they're actually the track before Floral used to be right at the beginning of Floral. There's like a little interlude. It was much longer. There were more layers. We did a lot of snipping and chopping in the studio. For me, it is Floral. Yeah.
All right.
I definitely think Floral was the hardest, especially like once we started practicing the songs live before we went into the studio. Um, because I like it's kind of hard to tell when you're listening to it, but I'm starting half a measure, or I don't know terminology. I'm horrible. But I want to say like technically what is it, half a beat before Andy comes in. But I'm not coming in on like a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm starting. It's more so like I start and I go 1, 2, and I start playing. So
You
I'm
start
like
off, on a pickup. It's just a
Yeah.
pickup measure, and then it comes in on beat 1, and then every other time in the song there's a hit on the end of chord.
Yeah. And that like when you're listening to it, it meshes together really well. But I know like the first few times we were playing it, we were like, what the hell is going on? Why can't we play this? We were stopping like before the lyrics would even come in. So definitely like that I agree was probably the hardest song to write because we really did have to figure out how to make it flow the right way. And even once we brought it to the studio, our producer Mike Sharapa, he actually had us chop up the song, so it was a little bit longer. But he had us chop the first chorus in half, and then by the time the chorus comes in a second time, it's the full version. Which was really cool because that's not something that I had been used to doing, I guess, with my writing style. But it kind of gave me like a new insight into how to write and like how I want things to sound, and I think it worked really well with the song. Trying to think what my favorite is because I feel like it's changed the more I listen to the record. I can say number one, like Stay Here was my favorite for a very long time, and I think it was very obvious the first time we heard the first mix of it that we were like, this has to be a single because it's catchy. It's a song that you can dance to, and I always say that because like, not that I don't think our songs are danceable, but like when you're an emo band, that's usually not what sound comes out of you. I feel like it's more like songs to cry to.
Yeah.
So that's like
Yes.
you can like cry and like do a little dance to it. So I think honestly, it's still my favorite. It's just something that it allowed me to kind of come out of my comfort zone. And I even like felt a lot more confident going in and recording it like with my voice, because my voice definitely sounds a lot different than it did on Tight. I think that song is always gonna be a favorite for me.
I think for me, my favorite's been Wednesday. Like since we started writing that one, and it hasn't changed. I still really like that song. Like if you're gonna have a favorite of your own music, I guess Wednesday's really fun to play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
We definitely shuffled it around. I think the one thing we were solid about is having Ghost as the first song, for sure on the album. And obviously we made it kind of a permanent thing the way we recorded it because we kind of had it swell into the song. Everything else we just kind of had to sort out because I don't know, I don't remember if we had a solid track list when we went into the studio, but I know that while we were recording and starting to hear how the songs were coming out, we were working on it throughout the entire recording process. And we solidified it by the time everything was recorded and by the time we had like a full listening session of everything. And song names were pretty set for everything except for like the interludes that we have. But yeah, I think we were kind of just we went in like, hey, this is what we're thinking would sound cool, and it literally got like meshed around. We were like, oh, this sounds way better, this flows way better, let's try it this way.
Sure. Awesome. So would you be able to tell us where Headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Oh wow, that's a fun one. Um, Andy, do you wanna answer first?
Sure. So I mean, we started writing it again pretty early after Tight came out, and we didn't finish until we were in the studio, kind of. So Headspace has definitely changed a lot. I'd say like when we were actually cutting it in the studio, I was like incredibly sleep deprived. We had a show that weekend, and my girlfriend was home for break, so I was like running around doing work and then going to work for Fox Teeth and then just being a social human being,
Yeah.
That I got to the studio at like 4 o'clock to work on tones and set up with Mike, and we played the whole record for him, and he, gave his songwriting suggestions that ended up being on the record pretty much. And then by the time it was like 12:30, he's like, "All right, we're all set to go. Do you want to do a song now?" And I was like, "Fuck it, I'll do a song now." And then I didn't get home until like 3:30, and I got up at 5 for work, so I had like 90
Aw.
minutes. And then I went back and I did the whole record. So I remember I just wanted to go to bed, but
Jesus.
that's kind of how it sounds like sometimes. Like, oh damn, I do pretty sleepy behind the drums, but like, that's how I felt. But it was also just really fun, and it was cool because we knew that we had like a set amount of time to work on it, so it was really relaxed, and I didn't feel like I had to really worry about anything else other than how the album was going, which was cool. Whereas with Tight, it happened over weeks and months of emails and demos, and you're worried about, all that crazy stuff happening in the world at the same time. This one was like, we're doing the record here, and then it's done. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that as well. Because I know the first full day for the record we had was like Andy did all the drums. I actually think I got there like an hour later than I said I'd be there, and I walked in and he was like, "Yeah, everything's pretty much done. I think I have one song left." And I was like, "It's been like 2 hours. Like, what are you talking about?"
He just wanted to go home and go to bed.
Right.
I did, yeah. I wanted to go to
Every
Cafe
night.
360. I needed to get a cup of coffee, and I wanted to rap.
Yeah, shout out to Cafe 360 and Freehold. They like saved our lives that entire week because
Shout
I
out.
like I didn't want to eat ramen every single day, and there's only so many vegan things nearby that I can bear having 7 times in a week.
Mhm.
So shout out to Cafe 360. They really did
Shout out.
fuel us through that. But I can definitely agree with like it definitely was a lot more hard work than not that we had anticipated, but I think that we had been used to because again, like Andy said, like Tight was overtime. And we also did that during quarantine. So it wasn't like I wasn't working when we were recording Tight. I entirely, was home. My classes were online. I didn't have to leave the house and I only left to record the album. And with Through the Blue, we had a week in October set aside. I had just gotten a new job and I literally had to tell them, hey, I need to leave for a week to record an album. So it was definitely a little stressful. But I think it felt really nice because having that time aside kind of gave us the like, okay, we need to have everything set for what we really are, stuck on and like what we want the songs to sound like. We need to know before going in, we need to have like everything kind of together. And it definitely like headspace wise, I was just extremely excited. Like every time we went to do something, I was very enthusiastic. Any changes anyone had, obviously like criticism is criticism, and I don't always take it negatively. Sometimes I do. That's a natural thing. But I think anytime that maybe like Mike was like, hey, let's try this instead, or I think this might be better, I never like questioned it. I was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's try it out. And it worked for the best every time. And I think one of the most stressful times though was definitely like towards the end of recording, and I was solely focusing on vocals. I had started getting really sick, and I don't think you can hear it too well in the album, but the song that at least I can hear it and I like catch it every time is Promises, because I'm yelling a lot in that song. And I was losing my voice from yelling the entire day, being sick, being tired. My energy was almost like entirely depleting. I started getting really stressed because I was worried that maybe like once we were done and we got the mixes back, that I would hear like my voice just kind of like drain throughout the record. And I'm very grateful that that's not the case, and that, you know, I was able to kind of like push myself a little. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was like really monumental to like the entire headspace we had as a band. I know obviously like Dan's not here to speak on it, but Dan again was in the band at the time. So was our friend Lewis. They did leads on 2 songs, and Dan did bass on every song. And Dan really honed in on what he wanted for his tones. Like he came in probably more prepared than I even was. But there were a few songs where he was like, let me get one more take, and it just would keep going. And there was one night he was recording, I think it was Mathematician, and I think he did over 100 takes.
Jesus Christ.
And it got to the point where Mike walked out of the room and just showed Dan like how to record it himself, and Dan was just pressing the record button, restarting. And I'm sitting there and it's like 3 a.m, and I just go, Dan, I love you, man, but I gotta go. I can't do this. And I just went home. Yeah, that was one day where I was like, oh my God, this is insane. What we're doing is insane right now. We're literally like hitting strings and drums and screaming at like 3 a.m, and like giving it full energy. But again, that just kind of relates to at least like my headspace. I just was extremely enthusiastic, excited, and really curious to see someone's new process for recording. I think overall, like, it was a really positive headspace that we all were kind of engulfed in.
That's
yeah,
good.
even though I was like I don't want to make it seem like I was like cranky or whatever. Like I was like the people I loved were home, and I was hanging out with everybody that I cared about. We were making a record. You know, that's fun. It was good stuff. I didn't feel sleepy. I was excited. You know?
Hell yeah. But once that head hit the pillow, you were out.
Oh, you know. Once I hit that couch in the lobby,
I'm sorry you slept on the dim couch. It's a little gross.
I mean, it was great when you're that tired. Sleep on the dim. I'll sleep in like ashes of cigarettes. Right there. I don't care.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should I do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Oh, wow. I don't think we've ever been asked anything like that before. I definitely think it's an album to like listen to for the first time alone, maybe alone, like going on a drive. It's definitely a road trip album too. I feel like it's a really good high energy road trip album. I've even had like close friends that we've obviously like sent it out to once it was done so they could get an early listen. They're like, oh, I listened to this while I'm driving to work, or I'm driving here doing this, or I'm on the way to a show and I listen to you guys. So I think kind of like getting that feedback shows me like people definitely, and we've been told this about other stuff that we've put out too, that people like to listen to us kind of like those late night drives where you're just like out thinking, you're driving without a destination. I think that's honestly an ideal time to listen to it, but also just like relaxing at home, you know, drinking some tea, whatever it may be. Like I think it's an album to listen to again alone, and to just kind of like let yourself get lost in the lyrics for the first time.
Hell yeah.
For me, I feel like you just roll the windows down, get on the I-95, the last Wednesday forever, sun is setting. That's such a romanticized view of my own album. I'm such a jerk, but like I don't know. That's what I did when I got the masters. You know,
there you go. Yeah,
it kind of works well in a car. You know, Fox Teeth works well in a car.
That's a new bio.
That on a shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, or bio. Yeah. So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your heads. I want you guys to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less. 3 words each, 6 total.
Okay. Oh, wow. You said this should be quick, and now I'm like nervous.
That's
It's
the point.
never been quick.
Sad,
Mhm.
gay, banging. There we go.
There you go. Hell yeah.
Upbeat, jangly,
I like that one.
Cheerio.
Okay.
Okay. Threw me for a loop. Jangly though. Never
Threw me
heard that
for a
one.
loop. Cheerio. Yeah.
Oh, there. Got me
There you
there.
go.
Yeah.
So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want your listeners to have while going through the album?
don't think there's a set one. I definitely think like our stuff isn't like Phoebe Bridgers sad. It's not like, you know, sad acoustic indie, anything like that. It's more so just like kind of like movements where it's like, oh my god, wow, the person singing is definitely mentally ill, but the song slaps. So I think we just kind of we do have like I hate not having an actual word to describe things, but like using that like obviously very jokingly, but I think kind of being aware that like what I'm singing about are serious topics to me personally, or serious things that I've gone through, things that I've experienced, that, you know, hardships, different things. But I'm also not writing a song to like tell other people like this is what I went through and I want everyone else to be sad with me. It's like, hey, this is just me voicing stuff I went through. If you guys want to dance to this, if you guys want to cry to this, you know, if you like whatever you want to do to this, take it as your own, interpret it on your own terms, and make it your own song, you know?
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
I feel like there's also a lot there. I can say overall, I think it brought us a lot closer as a band because we were going to the studio for a week straight, hours on end, just spending time with each other. I think we got, even though like obviously like of course like we're all friends and everything like that, but I think it just made a different bond between all of us. That was really nice to feel because not that I had never felt that before, but it just felt again a lot stronger than it had ever really been. If we're getting to specific memories, my partner came in when we were recording, I think it was 2 Emos, and obviously her band Pollyanna, very different sound from us. They have that grunge sound, but also pop influences, where we kind of have more like emo or like underground band influences. And I was recording the song, and she said, "This sounds so empty. Like you got to add some like oohs and ahs." And I was like, "I'm not adding oohs and ahs. Like that's not what we do. That's not what we sound like." And she's like, "Well, let me walk in. Let me just listen to what I'm saying or singing while the song's playing." So in 2 Emos, in the background part that's going, ooh, she told me to put that in. And I was like, all right, I'll put it in, whatever. If we don't like it, we can take it out. And that was like a game changer because that was the first song that we had done. We'd actually did 2 Emos before the full album was being done. But by the time we were doing the rest of the songs, I was like, we need to put harmonies. We need like extra noises, ad-libs, whatever we could get in. So that was a really nice memory to have because obviously, I mean, 1, like my partner, but also like 2, just having someone come in and be like, hey, try this out, and me being skeptical and then it actually like really working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just one other memory that I really liked is the acoustic track that's on the record. I wrote that entirely in the span of 30 minutes at the studio.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we wanted an acoustic song, and we kind of planned to just do one of the songs we had already written, regular style and acoustic style. And then Mike and Andy, actually, they were both like, why don't we like try to write something new? Like, let's see. And I was like, we're not gonna write anything right now. Like, we're under so much pressure. You can't just like sit and write something. So Mike gives me his acoustic guitar. I go in the live room, and he literally like dims the lights down, and like I think he like lit a candle. And he was like, I just want you to sit here and like, you know, if anything comes to mind, we'll work with it. And I just started playing around, and I wrote that song, showed it to Mike, and we chopped it around a little bit and figured it out. And then recorded it in like 2 guitar takes and I think 1 or 2 vocal takes, like very simple, very quick to the chase. And that's not the first time I've written last minute in the studio, but that's the first time I've entirely written from the ground up in the studio. Like I made it up on the spot and kind of figured out what I wanted it to be about and focused on that, wrote the lyrics, and then just recorded it within like an hour of it being written.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I can't believe that normally when Jill shows up to the studio, she winds up on whatever record she shows up during. I can't believe she didn't wind up on this one.
I know. I definitely like.
She's got the publishing to 2 Emos. We made sure she's in the line.
Oh, good. She's got a point or two
got
on
the
it.
rights, but she's not a performer. A lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know why we weren't like, yeah, Jill, let's record this. Like, I do know the actual week we were there, she couldn't make it for most of those days unless it was like extremely late and she was tired from work. Um, and I think same thing like when Pollyanna recorded their record, like I went a couple of times throughout that process, and we just kind of never like recorded on each other's stuff, and not for any bad reason. I think it's just kind of something that we've just never done.
Mhm.
We just, I don't know, not that we've never thought of it, but we've just never done it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
like think of it this way. Imagine if I showed up like at McDonald's and then you worked at McDonald's and I was like, "Yo, let me come back there and make some burgers." Like it doesn't always work like that. It's gotta be right.
I'm just going off of the percentage of records that Jill winds up on that she's went to the studio to hang out. The percentage is pretty high. It's like every
It's 'cause-
Late Waves
yeah.
record.
Yeah.
It's because Jill's just rad and just awesome. It's like, come on, like that's the vibe.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. Like, I guess we weren't. I don't know. I don't remember. I could have sworn that Jill was actually singing too. So this is news to me. I thought it was like
No,
100%.
she went
This is
into like
news to me.
example how it should sound, but that was it because she did kind of help me figure out pitch. I'm pretty good with like hearing like where the pitch should be for songs, but she's she's a teacher, like she's a guitar teacher, so she's like, oh, you should sing in this key and this, and I'm like, I have no idea what key my own song is in. I am just playing right now, like I'm just letting it go.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Yeah.
Andy, favorite memory?
I think my favorite memory would just be hanging out after I finished and watching Sawyer and Dan and Lewis and Mike all do just a really killer job and really bring the songs to life. Because I mean, everybody like probably feels this way, but especially me. Like I just play such a small role as a drummer, So like just drums, like I'm a drummer, so it's cool to hear those tracks, but it's not exciting until everything else comes on top of it. And Mike making coffee for us and it tasting really good and just snacking and hanging out. It was like a kickback. It was a lot of fun just watching the process unfold.
Hell yeah. So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
I feel like I'm very limited here because I can't eat like half the things at gas, more than half the things at gas stations.
We're going to a Wawa. Does that change
The gas.
things at all?
Does that help?
Gas is always fresh at Wawa.
Oh man,
That's what they
I'm trying
say.
to think what I get from Wawa. I mean, definitely okay. I don't know if this would count as a snack because technically it's a drink. Wawa has this smoothie. I think it's like apple banana or strawberry banana. I don't know, but they have oat milk for it. First time I ever had that, you guys know that SpongeBob picture where he's just like he has the headphones on and he's like ascending.
Yes.
That's what I felt like. So without question, that if it has to be like food wise snack, probably the sweet and spicy Doritos because those are somehow the only vegan Doritos, which I didn't know for a while. But they're really good.
They are
So
good.
those would be my go-tos.
All right. I go for the strawberry banana mango, but I don't put oat milk in it. I think I'm gonna have to change that. My partner has tried to get me to do it. I'm like, no, I like it the way it is. I don't like to try new things, but you're hyping it up over here.
It's pretty good. They haven't had oat milk in a long time. Every time I go, I'm like, yeah, you get some oat milk. They're like, no, just whole milk. And I'm like, well,
Darn.
I might die. So thank you, but no.
Shane, I'm sorry. Do you put whole milk in it?
No, I don't put anything in it.
okay.
It's whatever, like the water or whatever. Ice
Okay,
water.
I was-
I don't know.
I had to ask. I'm
No.
sorry. I was
Wait.
confused.
But if it's a smoothie, they have to.
No,
put
they're
milk
like
in it.
the fruit smoothies.
Yeah.
They're fine. I feel
They
fine
have-
after doing it.
Well, I worked at one. I'm trying to remember if the normal. No, I don't think the normal base is milk. I can't remember. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because I feel
There's
fine after. Like I know when I've had dairy, and I feel fine after.
We
Lincoln
have a
does.
dairy base, but I don't know if it actually has milk in it. Which is I actually did a lot of research on that, but that's for another day.
Okay. Well, Andy,
And yeah.
snack.
For me, I'm grabbing I'm not vegan, so your boy's gonna go all out. I'm grabbing a Fairlife protein shake, either vanilla or the strawberry banana. I'm getting a cup of coffee. If we're at Wawa, I'm probably gonna go with the Colombian and or a mixture of regular and Colombian French vanilla cream. And then I'm gonna slide over to the hot counter. I'm gonna grab myself a bacon, egg, and cheese sizzly, or a croissant, egg and cheese, bacon sizzly. And I'm probably gonna grab Quest peanut butter protein cups.
Hell yeah.
And fresh apple and fresh mango slices. And if I'm extra hungry that day, I'll grab an Italian sub, salt, pepper, oregano, lettuce, tomato, no onion, maybe a little bit of oil and vinegar, provolone cheese, toasted bread only. Thank you.
No onion?
I don't believe in onions on a
What the
sandwich.
fuck? That's the worst thing you've ever said.
Not on a sub.
That's crazy. Onion on everything, man.
I mean, I am learning to like onion. We talked about evolution earlier. I guess that's like a personal thing. Onion, but not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not on the onion. Yeah, not on a sub. Not for me.
It's okay. You'll learn. It's okay. So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Oh man, you guys are hitting us with these questions that are kind of on the verge of existentialism.
You're getting hit with your tail, your cat's tail right now.
I know. Any time I'm on this.
I just didn't even guess. Egg.
Eggs hanging out. Maybe we'd be an egg. No, we probably wouldn't.
Probably be everything bagel, toasted, salt, pepper, no ketchup, bacon, egg, and cheese.
You have to specify no ketchup?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Because New Jersey, right? Salt, pepper, ketchup is the thing, but I don't get the ketchup. So every time it's like salt, pepper, bacon, egg, and cheese, everything bagel, toasted. And they're always like, you want ketchup? And I'm like, no. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, I've been ordering it this way for years. No.
Ketchup on egg
That's
is like a
terrifying.
sin. That's ridiculous. New Jersey needs to fix that. Like
No, you
immediately.
don't.
Shane, get to work. Man,
Better be
that's
careful.
crazy.
Be careful talking about Jersey like that. You better be careful.
I'm sorry. I'll tweet it.
Yeah.
I'll see what
This motherfucker lives in Virginia.
Hey, we don't put ketchup on eggs, man. I could say that. That's ridiculous. Sorry, continue.
I still don't know what we'd be as a dish. I think if we had to pick drinks, I would say Shirley Temples. I don't know if that counts, but I just like drinking those. And I feel like people who listen to us also enjoy a good Shirley Temple. So, I don't know.
All right, sounds good. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink? Gloria and I talked long and hard if we should ask new questions or the old ones we haven't asked in a while. We chose the old ones we haven't asked in a while.
Because it's been
little
like
re-up.
3 years. Yeah.
You wanna try to guess each other's? Do you think we would do a good job at that, Sawyer?
I feel like we do a horrible job. I'm so bad at guessing.
all right. Let's think of three. You go first. I need time.
I don't know. I don't even I'm still stuck on the dish thing. I'm still thinking of different foods in my head right now.
Yeah.
So we're doing, what is it? The last meal, right?
Mhm. With a drink.
Okay. With a drink. Oh, with the bev. Okay. Never.
God damn it.
I'd say for me, I think I put this on our TikTok a couple of weeks ago. It would definitely be my girlfriend's mom's pasta with tomato sauce marinara and meatballs to start after a plate of calamari. So that's the appetizer. Definitely wash it down with a little bit of Chianti. And then I'd probably move on to paella with Pinot Grigio to wash it down for health. And then for dessert, I would be going with cookie dough ice cream with M&Ms and peanut butter sauce. And then I would have a nice bottle of water, and then I would die.
Okay.
Damn right.
Sawyer, before you answer, you guys have been driving me crazy over here, so I Googled it. However, a lot of the fruit smoothies are vegan if you hold the whipped cream.
Okay.
I haven't been slowly killing myself.
Okay, I was worried, man. Whew.
I was more so, yeah, I was just concerned for you. I was like, dude, if you're like dogging those weekly, your stomach is probably going crazy.
I am not dogging them weekly. They're too expensive for that.
I feel like anything involving food, Andy has like such like intricate and broad answers. But I know like if I had to pick a last meal, it would just be like mac and cheese. But not like boxed mac and cheese. I mean like my family's like partially from the South, so like Southern mac and cheese, it has to be in a glass dish, has to be a little crispy on the ends, you know. And I think my mom's sweet potato pie.
Give me a slice of that. I'll take that too.
Listen,
This guy's like, yo, I'm gonna put my fork over there.
It's incredible. It's to die for. She like made it for Thanksgiving this past Thanksgiving. She made a vegan one for me, and literally, I brought it home to share with my friends. Being a nice person, I got a slice that was like the width of my finger. That is all I got. So that proves to me how good it is.
That's great.
But I think I would have that, and then to drink, I'm still sticking with Shirley Temples. I'm ordering that wherever. Any show that we've played, like. I used to have that really big and weird obsession with High C. I'm sure you guys can remember. But that's turned into Shirley Temples. So sticking with that.
All right.
So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Bikini Bottom.
Saw that coming.
No questions asked.
World where Tony Soprano exists, because I already live in New Jersey.
Gabagool. All right. So I have the honor of asking the last question, and every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
You can't ask me that because I'm just going to say green. But for getting specific, sage green.
Okay.
Ooh.
How do you feel?
Sage green. I mean, it makes me feel if sage, which is a powerful seasoning, could totally ruin a food if you misuse it. So I feel a little lukewarm towards sage green, just because of the association I have with it in terms of taste. Because I used to put sage in my omelet like an idiot. I would hate every omelet I would make.
What?
I don't know. It was evolution, right?
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. But
Great.
I guess my favorite color is probably like. I don't know. I think I always say like either like pink or red or whatever, because I just think that those are cool colors that you can use really well for any purpose.
Hell yeah. All right. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug?
Obviously, to everyone listening, check out Through the Blue. If it's out already, if it's not out, comes out March 31st of this year. Super excited for it. We have vinyls for the first time. So definitely like check out the new stuff, check out the merch we've got, because again, this is the first time we've had a lot of these things. And just come out to a show. I can finally say that on an interview now. Like, come out to a show, come see us. We'll be traveling around to other states soon. Not too crazy, but simple things.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you for silence, guys. It's been Fox Teeth, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.